Welcome to today's lecture on classification of hormones. I am your presenter, Dr. Mausmi Shankaradala, working as an assistant professor in Department of Biochemistry, St. Joseph's College for Women Autonomous. Today's lecture is a part of the certificate course named General Physiology, which is a 8-week duration course for the graduate students of degree first year to final year students. And this course is run by Department of Biochemistry at St. Joseph's College for Women Autonomous, Vishakhapatnam. The contents of today's lecture include introduction of the topic, steroid classification of hormones based on chemical nature, peptide hormones, the mechanism of hormone actions, and in the end, summary. Coming to the basic introduction about the hormones, hormones are the chemical messengers produced by the endocrine glands. They are secreted directly into the bloodstream. These are regulating various physiological activities. The hormones specifically act on target organs. I repeat, hormones specifically act on target organs. They help in maintaining the homeostasis in the body. Hormone action is usually slow, but it is long lasting. Hormones are pretty much essential for growth and development. The hormones influence metabolism and reproduction also. They are highly specific in their action and these are classified mainly based on their chemical nature. Based on the chemical nature, and one more thing, hormones are usually protein in nature, like proteins. Proteins are made up of amino acids, and these are secreted by the endocrine glands directly into your bloodstream. So, best examples of hormones like insulin, testosterone, thyroid hormone, estrogen, progesterone, and all. So, these endocrine glands they secrete directly these hormones. Okay, these hormones into the bloodstream. In the bloodstream, they will be traveling and reach the specific target organ and they show their action. Now we are saying only at the particular organ they will be reaching. But how? It's all because of the presence of receptors. A particular hormone recognizes the receptor to which it has to be bound. So that is called as target specific binding, target specific action. So how you can know whether that hormone will go to that particular organ? Only because the specific receptors are present which will help the hormone to bind to that particular organ. Now, based on the chemical nature, hormones are classified into three main types. They are peptide hormones, steroid hormones, and amine hormones. Peptide hormones, steroid hormones, and amine hormones. This classification is based on their chemical composition, means what they are made up of. For example, peptide hormones, these are made up of small protein segments called as peptides, that means nothing but amino acids. Whereas amino hormones are usually basic, they have this amino group, and steroid hormones they contain the properties of this steroid ring. This classification is based on their chemical composition. Each type has a different structure and function. So hormones definitely have the diversity. They also differ in the mechanism of action. Definitely, since the site is different, the target organ is different, the, there will be a difference in the mechanism of their action also. Peptide hormones are usually made up of amino acids. As we all know, we have amino acids. They are written by their abbreviated forms, and amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. And peptides are nothing but short protein segments, and so the peptide hormones are nothing but these are made up of amino acids. Next category is steroid hormones. These are derived from cholesterol. So cholesterol is one of the major component we study under the lipid metabolism. Cholesterol contains carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and it is a 27 carbon ring structure, cholesterol. So that particular structure that is present in the cholesterol, we term it as steroid nucleus. So these hormones, since they are derived from this cholesterol, they are named as steroid hormones. Next is the amine hormones. These are derived from single amino acids. Amino acid is combination of amino group and acidic group. So instead of proteins, only single amino acids will be giving this amine hormones. So this classification is widely used in the biology. The most accepted classification based on the chemical nature, they are divided into peptide hormones, steroid hormones, and amine hormones. It helps in understanding the hormone function. Peptide hormones, and these are composed of chains of amino acids. The best quality is of this peptide hormone, they can easily be water soluble in the nature. So they can be, you just take any hormone, if it is showing its action, it is easily dissolved in its water, in the water. But they cannot pass through the cell membranes easily since these are waterphilic, that is hydrophilic. They need, when they need to pass through the cell membrane, in the cell membrane you'll be having again the lipid content. So because of this water solving dissolving only, these are unable to pass through the cell membranes easily. Okay. Now these peptide hormones bind to the, since they cannot pass inside, these peptide hormones bind to the receptors on the cell surface present, and then they activate the secondary messenger systems. Once again, I'm repeating, the hormones, peptide hormones are made up of amino acids. These are dissolved, these are having the capacity of water dissolving, okay, in the dissolving in the water. Now, what happens when they reach a particular organ? It cannot cross the cell membrane and go inside the cell. So, what it does is it binds only on the periphery, that is the outer surface of the cells. Then this activates below the cell membrane the secondary messenger systems. Let us see with an example. Insulin and glucagon. We also know that insulin is regulating the blood glucose level by decreasing the glucose concentration, whereas glucagon is the antagonist, that is opposite, it will increase the blood glucose level. They regulate the metabolism and growth. They act quickly but for a short duration. They are produced by pancreas and the pituitary gland, these hormones. They play a very major role in the body functions. Steroid hormones, these hormones, as we have already seen, these are derived from the cholesterol, which is one of the major lipids. So these are lipid soluble in nature. Since these are lipid soluble in nature, they can very easily pass through the cell membrane. Whereas the peptide hormones, since they are water soluble, they are unable to pass through the cell membrane. So they are binding to the receptors, and this on the periphery, that is the outer side, the peptide hormones will bind, and then they activate the secondary messengers cascade beneath the cell membrane inside. Whereas in case of steroid hormones, directly the steroid hormones, since these are lipid soluble. Because of this lipid soluble nature, they can easily pass through the cell membrane. And here inside the cell, they bind to the receptors. And this leads to the direct gene activation. Examples of steroid hormones are cortisol and testosterone. They have long lasting effects, whereas we have seen insulin and glucagon. The peptide hormones are for their quick and short duration hormones, whereas these are long lasting effects. They also regulate metabolism, and they also regulate the reproduction. They are produced by the adrenal glands and gonads. Okay, these here they are produced by adrenal glands and gonads, whereas there they are produced, the peptide hormones are produced by pancreas, and here these steroid hormones are produced by adrenal glands and gonads, and they are very important for stress response also. Amine hormones, the last category in the chemical nature. Amine hormones are derived from single amino acids. Usually among all the amino acids, tyrosine, it is designated as capital Y. Okay. The tyrosine, it is an what you call, it is an OH containing benzene ring containing amino acid. This is aromatic amino acid since it has a benzene ring and it has all OH group also. So this comes both under hydroxyl amino acid and also aromatic amino acid. Hydroxyl amino acid because it is having OH group and aromatic amino acid because it is having benzene ring. They can be water soluble or lipid soluble. So either of them. Examples of these amine hormones are adrenaline and thyroxine. Adrenaline and thyroxine. So adrenaline acts, we all know that adrenaline is a fight to flight hormone. So during the stress conditions, it acts very quickly. Okay. Whereas thyroxine regulates the metabolism, they have diverse functions in the body. Like they are secreted by the thyroid glands and adrenal glands. They influence the heart rate also and energy levels. Thus, they also play a very key role in body regulation. Coming to the peptide hormones, they are water soluble. Steroid hormones, they are fat soluble. Amine hormones, they are either fat soluble or water soluble. Hormone action mechanism. Hormones act through specific receptors. The peptide hormones always acts on the membrane receptors and they use secondary messenger systems. Why? Because they are water soluble. They cannot pass through the cell membrane. There they'll be having the lipids. So they are only acting on the membrane receptors. That is only on the periphery. When they attach on the outside of the cell membrane, inside the secondary messenger systems will be activated. Thus, it will be taken care. The second one is steroid hormones. They act on intracellular receptors. Intra means inside. Intracellular receptors. Yes, they can act intracellular because they are fat soluble. Since the membrane also have fats, these are fat soluble. They easily pass through the cell membranes. They enter into the cells and there they activate the gene expression. And finally, amine hormones, they may be acting on both the mechanisms, either depending upon the hormone type and the target cells which respond specifically to these hormones. So if it is required to be showing the peptide hormone mechanism, they'll undergo that. If the fat soluble mechanism, hormone mechanism is required, they'll undergo that. Thus, hormonal effects are regulated very carefully and this ensures proper physiological balance. Summing up, the target cells respond specifically to the hormones and the hormone effects are regulated very carefully. This ensures proper physiological balance. Thyroxine regulates metabolism. Amine hormones are derived from amino acids. Peptide hormones cannot pass through the cell membranes easily because they are water soluble. Quick sum up, dear students. These are the international and national books that we have kept here for reference, for your kind reference. Quick sum up, Guyton and Hall textbook of medical physiology written by Guyton. Essentials of medical physiology written by K.C. Billingham. Human anatomy and physiology written by Elaine K. Marie. Review of medical physiology by Kim and Barrett. Textbook of medical biochemistry and physiology by our very own authors Chatterjee and Rana Shinde. Thank you.